Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. Please excuse the tardiness, the amount of cat responsibilities that occurs in the morning. I still don't know how after, what's it been now, 9 years? How I haven't gotten that down. But, welcome everybody. Good morning, Kamikaze. Thanks so much for stopping by. How you doing, lovely? Oh, so apparently, I've been told that there are some people who are actually consuming the YouTube videos, which is wild to me. So in that vein, I've been asked if at the beginning of the stream I could do just kind of a quick recap of what we've been doing, and then go into working on the next set of code. So that's what we're gonna do. Gonna put a little bit more structure. Is it structure though, or is it just, hey, here's an idea, talk about what you've been doing? I like that version better. Jesus, I'm also realizing. Oh, this one. There you go. Yoink. Can you tell how little I actually do in terms of hair? Huh. Anyway, this is proof. Like, usually I just kind of like let the hair just drop because it's usually buzzed and I don't have to worry about it. But now that I have to do things with it, I'm like, what do I do? And then I end up with stuff like that. Alrighty, let's see here. I'm doing good, Kami. Thank you. Trying to get things rolling, or at least trying to. Alrighty, so Viking braids eventually. I am indeed growing this the top part of my hair out. I haven't had long hair since I was like 15, 16, I think. No, this would have been 14. Oh, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I haven't had long hair since. But I never did the cut sides, cut back. I just did the long hair. Ooh. So now I wanna grow this top part out, and maybe we'll go for a Bjorn Ironside. Who knows? But so to catch up on anybody that may or may not be familiar, we are attempting to build a Twitch bot in Go, which I am also recognizing is not currently running. So let's go ahead and cd bot and source and go run. Yoink. Right, so that's still working. Aha. So there you go. So we are working on a Twitch bot in Go, primarily a chat bot. However, we are slowly but surely starting to add more features onto the bot that go a little bit beyond just being a chat bot. For example, I don't think you can barely see that. Oh my goodness, that is so tiny. Can I make it bigger? Oh, too big. Very much so. But for example, we have this last sub label that eventually I'm thinking we might be able to turn into just like a an activity window up here at the top. But that's still a TBD. So we'll hide that for now. But we're starting to do on-screen features, exposing a REST API that things like OBS can call to get things like who was the last subscriber, who was the last bits donator, etc. We're also looking at a couple of kind of, call it streamer convenience items. This would be things like tracking the usage of a channel point reward, say a notification goes off, says, hey, by the way, this thing happened. If it's something that you're supposed to react to, it gives you a notification that it happened. How that notification happens, we ain't got that far yet. We've also got things like what I'm calling my Streamlabs conversion features. So it'd be things like the custom shoutout command. So right now I am technically using I think it's the Streamlabs one. Double check. Yeah. So currently we're using Streamlabs as the shoutout function, but just being able to do things like create a message that has the name, the and the URL. Probably won't have the they are playing X. Maybe we will. Who knows? The simple on-stream chat box that we see up above my head at the moment. And a couple of other things that are mostly just more for fun. Also, this was done because we did that for Go 1.16. And then there's a couple of other features for things like swapping over to event sub. We'll talk about in a second. Mycroft for text-to-speech and voice. That's an interesting one. And then looking at potentially building a front end, so building some type of a web application to sit on top of the bot. It could act like a control board. It could do all kinds of things. It could do technically anything. The question is, how much time do we have? So that's what we're doing. Where we are at the moment, the bot does work. We have, of course, we have the obligatory hello world. We have, let's see here, we have alert commands. We have some pretty basic commands. We also have user greetings, raid thanking, all that fun. We have a number of features, all things considered. And we've built all of this off of Twitch's WebSocket library, Twitch's WebSocket clients. We have the IRC client and we have the PubSub client at the moment, but those are both operating off of WebSockets. And finally, we have the Go code itself. So, where we last left off, we were working on this guy, the persistent key value store for bot features. So in the last stream, we did finally migrate away from having multiple options for this. We now have this kind of one central type, persistible cache. There were a couple of questions that came up, and I did want to address them real quick. Number one is that persistible cache is really purpose-built to be an in-memory cache that's persisted. How often it gets persisted and where it gets persisted is also pretty opinionated. There is definitely an upgrade path here. We could change persistent target to be, say, instead of a file persistence target, it could be, it could go straight to Redis. It could go to Redis. It could go to a database, bird for bird. It could go to another NoSQL database, Mongo or Dynamo or really any of those things. It could be updated to go to those various places. The one assumption for that to work at the moment is that we are basically changing this part, or we have some type of an interface that implements IO read or IO writer. I don't really know what that would look like right now. Additionally, the line and from line methods that are kind of used throughout are they're a little presumptuous about the fact that it's a file line, and those functions are used kind of throughout. So the long and short of it is that, yes, I did purpose build this to be a file, partly because the data that we're storing is pretty small. It's pretty small, it's pretty well structured, and it's pretty simple. There's not really any type of special querying that we're wanting to do across that. If there was, we could query the in-memory cache, and that's kind of what that's there for. As we start to add more features, like for example the chat, maybe the chat is something that that would start to kind of push the limits of that cache, but who knows? And there's not really, as far as at least the way that it's being built right now, there's no real requirement for being able to search through these things. If you're looking for example, in the cache, you're looking for the last subscriber, the last bits donator, etc. That's expected to be behind a key. So key value access. So basically I'm going through that because there were a couple of questions about, why a file, why are you kind of building yourself into the file corner? And the short answer is because the file just works perfectly for what I need. And in fact, mostly we don't even interact with the file. We flush the cache to the file for persistence, but yeah, we're not really reading that file at any point except for when we're initially hydrating the cache from that file. So, hello, how's your day going? I can't count the number of times that pun gets made, especially whenever I'm presenting Go to other developers. It's so good, I love it. And good morning, Przemko. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing, mate? I just wanted to also double check. Yes, this is basically the only time that we rehydrate the cache, which is good. Alrighty, so. We need to do anything with that? I don't think so. Flush cache, expired, line from line. What I think I am gonna do is one really quick reorganizing. Really quick bout of reorganization. That's probably the more English correct way. Correct English. Can you tell I'm trying to learn a new language? Oh boy. I can barely speak the language that I have. And I'm trying to learn another one. So now that we have this though, I think the one thing that we didn't do from last time. Yep, okay. So the metrics cache is currently in memory, but instead, I would like, yeah, I want one of these. Boink. Oh, right, okay. So this is one of the other things is that we are currently creating a cache from a very specific. Oh, yeah, I don't like this. This is also very prescriptive. Which actually, we don't even do anything with that. Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that here. Oh, right, okay. So this was this comment, if the file is more than 12 hours ago, aside from being shite English, is a remnant of before we implemented key expiration on this cache. What we used to do is we used to look at the file and say, is this file older than 12 hours? If it is, delete it. And the reason is that this was originally only used for the greeter, which is the welcome to the lab at Przemko. That was a greet functionality. And the theory was, well, there's always 12 hours in between streams, right? So that's a remnant of before we had that. And now I'm recognizing that this is stupid. Yep, that's pretty dumb. But we can probably do something with that. Let's see here. I'm trying to implement an SYA algorithm for my advanced mobile calculator because we aren't allowed to use already existing expression builders.
Why?
Although I probably know why. It's a thing that that I always rag on education systems for. Like you force people to re-implement things, which is a good thing to learn how to do it. But if the point was not to learn how to build the thing that you're trying to build, then why set that precedent? All it really does is set the precedent that when you get into the real world, you think that you have to build everything from scratch, and that's maybe 40% of what we do on a daily basis. Maybe. Well, I guess that depends on which industry you're in. Anyway. So. I think the reason that I did this is because I was driving that implementation from config. Which I don't think I need to do. Yeah, and the other thing too is that I'm also fetching from config key expiration time. I'm doing things like this. Yeah, there's just a lot of like Basically, what I'm doing right now is I'm questioning the necessity of this file. So this is our cache factory.go, and realistically, it doesn't really do anything anymore. This used to be for when, so we technically have when it's a file versus when it's in memory, but now we have functions to do that, and we drive this off of config, but we don't really need to, number one, and number two, this is very prescriptive, so yeah. It's weird because the point is to learn how to build mobile apps and not how calculators work, but ain't no one bold enough to say that to the professor. And that, to me, is one of the greatest problems. Because in the real world, I would absolutely expect you to speak up. Like, if you replace a professor with, say, a team lead, and then students being coworkers, there's not quite the same authoritative divide as it is in school, which is another weird difference. But like, if I was the tech lead and I was proposing that we build this mobile app and that we were building this calculator from scratch, if you didn't bring up that we should be using existing tools to do that, that to me would be a disservice to the team. Whereas school is teaching you, no, just shut up and do what we tell you to do. It's like, that's not how the real world works. Mostly. We expect you to think, but we also expect you to implement the requirements. The merger between those two is how you progress in your career. Alrighty, what is this? What is this shite? Is there anything that I really need from this? Is there anything that I really need from this? Because I could probably expose this. If I pull this into main. So, cache file creates a standard file for cache instances of type file. And then that imported. So if we were to bring this in, then the next bit that we would need, we do this. Maybe if we bring this into here. So if we bring that into there, this is no longer thing. So we pull this into main. Where are you? There you are. So create cache file. Greeter.text, var is not equal to nil. Fatal. Actually, we need to create. So we're just doing some code cleanup here. Create greeter cache file. Greeter cache. Now what we could probably do is abstract this part. Maybe. Read greeter cache file. And then this is greeter cache file. Config dot key. Oh wait, is it conf dot key cache expiration time? There we go. This would be cache dot file persisted. We would not return. And then this becomes greeter cache. In fact, all of these become greeter cache. Yeah. Let's see here. So cache dot becomes, cache becomes greeter cache. And there we go. I think that fixes that. Okay, let's check. Let's see here. Configuring cache for the bot, yes. So let me show this. Cache.text. So this is what one of the cache files looks like. It's pretty straightforward. It's just key value, which in the case of greeting is empty, and then a timestamp. And the timestamp is for expiration times. And as you can see, the order just changed. That's because we are constantly rewriting or writing to this file. But yeah, it's so this is a cache for which users in the chat have already been greeted, and then we're also going to create a more persistent cache, but it's still a cache, all things considered, for the last user to donate bits, the last user to subscribe or resubscribe, that type of stuff. And we're gonna store all of that inside of these cache files. For that cache money. But realistically, I probably shouldn't put those directly in. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. When do I reset the greeting cache? Technically, it gets reset whenever the cache is rehydrated. So it does a process. Make sure verify the persistable. So let's see here. So when we rehydrate the cache, which rehydration at the moment happens when the bot restarts, but eventually we'll probably add rehydration as a periodic thing if this becomes a more persistent running application. But during rehydration, one of the things that we do is we invalidate expired entries. So expired would be the timestamp for that key exceeds whatever the cache, what do you call it? The timestamp of the key extends the time frame for which a key is set to expire. That was more difficult than I was expecting it to be. Oh no! I have a fray, a small fray. I don't have scissors nearby. Heck. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, Cammy. And please excuse the bot for being late. But yeah, when we read the file, at that point, we'll then clear out any lines that are considered to be expired. In the case of the greeter, that's usually from stream to stream. So today we're collecting entries for everybody that joins and is in the chat, and then say on Wednesday, when I start the bot up, it'll read that file, look at the timestamp for each of those records, and go, "Oh, you're older than 12 hours. Yeet you out. You're older than 12 hours. Yeet you out." I am a leaf on the wind. Watch how I soar. Such a good movie. So yeah, it's interesting because this is technically a custom implementation of what Redis does. The only reason that I'm doing a custom implementation is because I didn't yet want to bring in the requirement of Redis. Building it this way, aside from just being fun, which is the whole point of doing this in the first place, we're not actually trying to build a commercial product. Fun fact. But aside from just being fun to do, I also wanted to show just how like simple doing something like this actually is. And I've actually put something like this in production before. And it worked. We had to back the file up, of course. You know, like in Kubernetes, you can volume mount this file, drop that into a persistent volume store, or persistent volume with a persistent volume claim, making sure that that persistent volume is backed up. If you're in, say, like in AWS, back it up to S3 or back it up to Dynamo or back it up anywhere. Doesn't really matter. Then all of a sudden you have a persistent store, and you can rebuild that as many times as you need to. The challenge is concurrent access, though. That's the hard part, but we ain't got to do that. We ain't got to do that here. Are you using Twitch API or just scraping the chat? I am using the Twitch API. IRC, technically. So I am using the IRC client for Twitch. I'm also using the PubSub client, but the IRC client's the primary one. So I connect to Twitch chat via a WebSocket. And I'm trying to remember where that. Oh, all right, we do that externally. Boop. So this connection is technically a WebSocket. Find references. There it is. Boop. So we create a WebSocket to the Twitch chat, and then we use that for our IRC client, and IRC client will then read the chat, read commands off of the chat, well, read and write to the chat via the IRC protocol. And that's how we get a lot of these functions. So like chat message, it's called priv message. But also there are some other things that pop into the chat for things like subscriptions. Read me. Let me set wrap. I really need to change these over to like the actual messages, because right now I just have the parsed version. But for example, this would be a priv message that contains a couple of tags on it for things like bits has a value. There's technically a cheerer, but if bits is present, then it's a bits donation. And so I parse that that message accordingly to get it into a bits thing, a bits event. And then bot.go is the thing that's doing all of it. So it was a fun time. I hope you're okay, Drybones. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate the moment away from homework. Well, I'm sure that was probably a moment of sanity for you, but I hope homework is going well, mate. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's pop into popping back into main.go. Let's see here. What are you complaining about? All right. Homework on the weekend isn't ever fun. True. Very true. I can't say anything though because I'll be doing work. Homework, work. What? I don't know the difference anymore. I'll be doing homework for work later today. But slightly different context though. I still kind of enjoy doing that. Let's see here. There is actually, I think, a pretty good... I think there is a pretty good opportunity to... Getting into web dev, but from a different angle. I'm building a web project with ASP.NET and Spring Boot. As somebody whose early career was built on Spring Boot, hi. That's interesting. What are you going to be doing with it if you want to divulge? Spring Boot's a fun one. It's a very big framework. It's a very big magical framework, but kind of the point. But it's a fun one. You can build some very interesting things with Spring Boot. Put a number of Spring Boot apps into production. Fortunately, unfortunately. Yeah, I feel like I can abstract this. Func create cache. File path is a string. Key expiration seconds is an int 64. And this will return this will return a cache.cache. So this will be cache file. So basically what I'm doing is I am, I'm just abstracting this part. Fail, create cache file, and then cache.file persisted, cache file, and this is key expiration seconds, return cache. Can I not do that? Oh, right. It's the whole persistable cache. Must create file cache. Go. Not sure yet, but we have to build something with Spring Boot like a shop or anything similar revolving around databases and users. Because we gotta use Hibernate for ORM. Do you have to interact with Hibernate directly? Or are you gonna be, or do you get to use Spring Boot's like Spring Data JPA? Because Hibernate is a fucking monstrosity. But just be that's what you gotta do. In fact, with that, then that means that we don't have to do that. So create a file cache. Persistable cache backed by a file. Panics if it cannot. This is a convention that I see every once in a while. If you prefix a function with must, that basically means that this must succeed or the application fails out. And in the case of main.go, this is a pretty common pattern for the types of stuff that I do, because in main.go, this is kind of like the initial, this must work. So there's kind of a, it's kind of an acceptable case of, if this doesn't work, well, I want to know why it didn't work, but at the same time, if it doesn't work, fail out. And so I can do something like this. So now, directly Hibernate, they have yet to specify it. That would be very unfortunate if that were the case. It's because I don't know many places that directly use Hibernate anymore. Except for shops that have existing code. But like HQL, the Hibernate query language. Most places, I think these days, will either do they'll just do raw SQL, so they'll just query via the JDBC driver, but they'll use Spring Boot to do it. So they'll do like a Spring Data wrapper and then @SQL annotations on their interfaces. I've done that a lot. It's great. Or they'll use JPA, which will be like you create an interface and one of the methods is find by ID, and that turns it into a select ID from table where ID equals, or select star from table where ID equals insert thing here. It's very magical. It's beneficial if you're building simple things very quickly. It doesn't scale very well, but that is an experience that I think you will have on your own. But in a nutshell, if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask them. Obviously, we do have a policy in the lab. We don't do homework for people, but we are more than happy to answer questions. Me especially. More than happy to answer questions as they come up. Yoink. Alrighty. So next, probably the last thing that I didn't do last time was metrics.text 0. So yeah, Entity Framework gets a lot of praise, and I think rightfully so. Plus the link library, I think it is LINQ. A lot of people say very good things about Link. I think that's more an expression builder than an ORM, but still works. Alrighty. I need to double check that the bot is still working. Nope. Ah. Let's see here. So file redeclared. Oh, right. So Cache Factory. Is there anywhere that is importing Cache Factory? No. Okay. So we shall do like that, and we shall rm cache factory. And we restart, and voila. Let's see here. I feel like there's always a need to balance opinion from fact, which I don't feel like it, and I'm guilty of this at times as well. Sometimes I'll present something as if it's fact, but it's not fact. Like, it's my opinion on things. Like, for example, in my opinion, Spring Boot does more harm to a developer long term than it does benefit in the short term. But that's only because I've done a jump from Spring Boot to, say, something like Go, where there is no equivalent of Spring Boot. It didn't really hurt me because prior to Spring Boot, I was doing, like, I've done C work, I've done PHP, I've technically done Java before the Spring Boot days. Like, I've used other languages and frameworks that didn't do as much magic as Spring Boot did. So I already kind of had an idea for things like, oh, well, there's a server. This server works by doing XYZ, whatever XYZ is. Also, apologies, the bot is going to re-greet everybody because I just changed the file name. Whoops. But it's definitely one of those things of, like, you don't know how routing works, or you don't see how routing works. If you use things like Hibernate or the data JPA abstraction, you don't really see that there's concepts like connection pooling, object reuse, session caching, all those things. And additionally, you kind of get put away from SQL, which no matter how much I've tried, whenever there's a database involved, you got to use SQL in some capacity. Or you have to connect a fancy GUI to things, but sometimes you don't get that option. Insert the shell warrior here because oof. Started with C, then Java, then PHP. Hey, God, my career over the last like 15 years has been nutty. A little bit of a lot of C, a little bit of PHP. The LAMP stack was big during that time. PHP BB, anybody? Java for a good while. Java was actually a very big part of my career for a good bit. C# only very briefly. Go, obviously. Scala was a big one. Groovy jumped in between when, like, there was this like war going on about Java and then the better Javas. Groovy, Scala, Clojure even made it in there, which was interesting. I've used too many damn languages. And then, of course, front-end development. JavaScript, TypeScript, Dart. What was the one? Ooh, hang on a sec. What was the one that preceded Dart? Oh. There have been so many languages that transpile to JavaScript. Can't remember which one it was. Kotlin's another JVM language, another alternative to Java. We proposed Kotlin in one project, but we didn't actually get the go ahead to use it. Oh, hang on one sec. Oh, buddy. Give me just a second. Kitty's having issues. All right. Sorry about that. Poor Toby was having issues. Alrighty. So, where are we? We are back to working condition there. We can rm cache.txt because we now have greeter.txt and metrics.txt, which effectively means that we now have a bunch of files that we don't want. What I would kind of like to do... Now, there was a question. There's a question on the last stream, but I don't think that it... No, that was for static assets. Never mind. There was a question on the last stream that was talking about Go's embed function and whether it made sense to embed things in the binary itself. I think the short answer is eventually, yes. But for the time being, I don't think embed would actually help for the cache files, because those are kind of dynamically created as they go. So that does technically mean that we have new get ignore targets, but we can fix that. Let's see here. The last thing that I need to look at was for this. So basically, I'm now kind of forcing the issue that that the bot just uses a file cache. And I think that's fine for now. The cache type will effectively always be file, which I think is fine. Yeah. Also, this needs to include the GitHub link. Streambot. Okay, let's see here. Yay, it actually goes to the right one. Holy shit. Alrighty. So, we did all of that as more of just like a code cleanup from the last bits of persistent KV store. So let's... oh yeah, because you don't exist anymore. Get ignore. This is now greeter.txt and metrics.txt. We could technically do a star.txt. Hello, Flux. Remind me later. Thank you. Double check that. So that's all gone. That's just moved. That's just an update, and that's now persistent. So let's do git add all, git commit -m, remove cache factory and default to file cache. And that's pretty much what we did. Oh, and make metrics cache persistent. Yeah. Go ahead and push that up. Have I done any projects in ASP.NET? Have I done any? I don't think so, no. Think. Yeah, no, most of my experience with the .NET world has been Visual Basic.NET for a couple of Windows apps way back, like early 2000s, I think it was. And of course C#. A very brief look at F#. And I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think I've done any I don't think I've done any proper projects in ASP.NET. I do remember old ASP though. Because I remember looking at ASP as an alternative to PHP. This was, God, what was that, 2003? 2004? I'm starting to get old. Can't remember my shit. But no, I don't think I've ever actually done a project in any of the ASP variants. So I'm curious to hear how that experience is in 2021. What if they plan to keep supporting it? I mean, for as long as there are people paying for it, who knows? Kind of makes me wonder though, because I know they've been making a big push for everybody to get over to C#, at least. It makes me wonder. All right, what can we do here? I need to double check. I think we still have a couple more log items that we haven't done. Let's rip through. Yeah, there's a couple of them. And now this. Yeah, okay. So we need, so the last thing I'm doing is I'm just kind of biting the bullet and saying, screw it, I need to actually do the swap over. Is raid message. Checks if message is a raid message. Raid size returns. Which, by the way, if you're wondering, the thing that I'm doing at the moment is oh, error requires an error, doesn't it? Yep. Wink. The linter for Go has a particular format for comments, for doc comments. So this comment is documenting raid size does what? It returns the raid size for a raid message. It's a little redundant, all things considered, but And yes, Go does have string interpolation to some degree. Well, it has string interpolation in the sense of fmt.sprintf, but I didn't want to type out fmt.sprintf because I am being lazy. Is bits message checks. Oh. I really need to figure out why Vim keeps doing that. Error. Oh, we had a lot of these. Holy shite. Huh. That's very interesting. C# is their golden goose and VB gets no love? Pretty much. All right. So, need to unlock your proficiency level not using the mouse. It took a long time to get here, not gonna lie. Most of this is just Vim, which I think is probably the biggest boon to my to me not using the mouse. But I haven't quite gone full mouseless, although I have made a pretty conscious effort to be far less dependent on the mouse. So, hello, Really Frank. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing, mate? Do like a dat. Register raid handler does a thing. The bot. Really Frank, we are just finally making good on the centralized logging and introduced Logros. We also finished the migrate away from IOUtil for Go 1.16, and we also finished the persistent key value store for bot features. So now everything is off of cache persistable instead of having multiple different caches. Just to catch you up. And now we are rip-grepping through the code looking for imports of log. And before I do that, I should grab that. Not get files. Rip-grep. Log. Productive day. Something like that. Log.info. Log.info really needs to be... There's a part of me that feels like I should just implement a variant that does just like printf. You know what? Let's do that. Yoink. Oh, logger. This. Something like that. Oh. Missing ... in args. Like a dat. Or... Oh, am I doing this wrong? Am I doing this wrong? mt.sprintf format. Oh, did I not do that right? I don't think I did that. Yeah, no. That's absolutely what it should be. I feel like I tried this before and I ran into the same issue. .info mt.sprintf. Oh, do you have to do like that? No. Or we don't even have to do sprintf. We could technically just do that. Sometimes I'm dumb. And by sometimes, I mean I'm dumb. And args is an interface. So here we can just do format args. And by the way, it is worth calling. It is worth calling out that yes, we are technically just creating wrappers over Logos. Technically. Technically. Ooh, does this have an InfoF? It doesn't. Or it does, but it doesn't like it. You know what? I'm kind of curious. Make sure there's nothing wrong there. Oh, yeah, still works. Huh. All right. We're mostly just creating an interface over Logos so that if I decided to change Logos, I can. But more importantly, for things like error, fatal, etc., I have a bit more. I have a bit of control to do things like log.withField error.blah. But I think. Yeah, I think I can more or less do the same thing. Oh, you're talking about like that? Yeah, you right. Yeah, you right. You're absolutely right. See? Learn something new every day. Learn something new every day. Is there a trace F? There's not a trace F. Oh, wait, no, there is a trace F. Ah! Spread! I put the spread operator in front and not after because I've been in bloody Python for too long. Oh boy. Really, Frank, help. They're changing me. Let's see here. Trying to remember. Grep sprintf. How many places? There's one. Otherwise is considered a single argument of type slice of interface. Gotcha. Alrighty. And so what I would like to do is get rid of stuff like that, requiring to pass sprintf to my log statements, of which there are a few. But we can clean that up now. which makes me feel a lot better about it. The use of sprintf is fine. It's the log as a part of sprintf that is now okay. So this is where this is, I think, the more interesting, the more difficult. Who knows? You're just so synchronized with Marvel, you pause at the exact duration. Perfect. Also, welcome, Fiel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing, mate? So this one is interesting because with, well, what I could do with error and fatal, I require the error object. A little opinionated, but is kind of the way that I do things. I could swap them. So I could say error is of type error, and then we could have format interface. And then I'm guessing we could do like that. Challenge is that now all these implementations are now gonna fucking break. But that's okay. Doing some exercises for upcoming distributed and concurrent programming exercise. I'm curious, what are they teaching you in said course? Because that is kind of my favorite place to be. I'm good. I'm basically still I'm finishing up, hopefully. Finishing up these last few finishing up these last few errors and cleanups for Zbot, and then we can move right along into some features. Nope. Get out of that. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. So now we gotta go through. Whoops. We gotta delete to that. Yes. Kami, I think that's the third time you've been greeted now. Triple greeting. Yep. You know what? Hold on, I can macro this. Let's see here. So we're gonna make this Q. Why not? Error. To this over delete to that. Okay. At Q. There we go. Now the problem is that this is potentially not going to do what I want. It's just really excited to see you, Cammy. As we all are. Ooh, so that didn't work. But that's okay because now I can fix this. To be %s. And now we can keep going. So welcome to the life of welcome to the life of refactoring. bit string. It's a pain. Oh, that's not supposed to be there. There we go. And this is a month string. I know this is riveting to watch. Watch Medj show off macros in Vim to change log messages to say different things. Let's see here. A lot of definition, essential being process events, actions, different algorithms for getting consistent timestamps like vector clocks, synchronization between threads, and last part is remote method invocations. Aha! Programming examples are in Java. Why'd I gotta do that? That's cool. That's, to me, those are fun things, personally. It's kind of the area that I enjoy most. Oh, right, we don't use all caps, we use camel case. I'm surprised that worked. I'm surprised that worked. But it sure did. Which, in case anybody is not following along, so what I'm doing, so this function log.error, it used to be log.error, and then first argument was the message, and the second argument was the error. I flipped that. So now I'm going through and I'm like, okay, well now I have to find all the usages of that code. Well, one way to do that, now that the interface has changed, or now that the function signature has changed, space ds, oops, is a shortcut in that I have configured in Vim for diagnostics. Diagnostics is basically errors in my language server. And so when I do leader ds, or space ds, leader equals space, it shows me a list. So I click on one and it takes me to that list. And then what I did earlier is I recorded a macro where, well, when I run the macro, it inserts error at front, comma, jumps to the end of the line, and then deletes the comma error that's already there. And that's what I end up with. So now I'm very curious to see what it does with this one. Okay. It worked. Hell yeah. Color me. Oops. Delete to that. Oh, no, not that. Color me very surprised. Although that didn't work. Oh, no, it did. It actually didn't work. Yeah, that didn't actually work. Which is okay. Macros are good, but sometimes they aren't that good. Delete to the next one. Yeah, there we go. So error, delete to that, and delete to that. There we go. Last one, FMT imported but not used. And there we go. Holy shit. All of that to do that. And now we gotta do the same thing for Fatal. But before we do that, let's keep rip-grepping around. Rip-grep, by the way, is a utility. It's a very fast grep that can search through the code base for a particular thing. So whenever I do rip grep, this window is basically searching through the code. So if I look for, say, cache, it'll show me a bunch of places where the word cache comes up. So, rip grep, powerful. And then Vim just rip grep integrated with FZF, fuzzy find. Fuzzy find produces the window, rip grep populates the window, and I have an editor that allows me to do things that normally you would have to use your mouse for. Did I mention that this took a really long time to get to? Like, I love the end result, but by God, was it a slog to get here. Just saying. Medgebot logger. Log.info. Info. And I still catch myself doing things the more manual way, like insert mode, delete versus highlighting the word and then doing CW. I'll catch myself doing that every once in a while, but still good. Hello, Erva. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing? Welcome to the wonderful world of Medj doing refactors. Log. Medgebot logger. Yes, this is now this is not info, this is now error. Oh, no. Yes. I had to think about that for a second. Warn. And then we don't need that. Okay. So now that's good. Rip grep log. Let's see here. Ow. Doing good, thank you. Just trying to unwind after a monstrosity of a week at work. But to be honest, it's kind of my happy place. Being busy at work means that I'm busy at work, which means that I'm working hard, which means that potentially I'm enjoying myself. Sorry, I had a brief moment where I wanted to make sure that that was correct. It looks correct. Okay. Sorry, my brain just stopped there. Like, is that really what I want it to do? Is it really? Yes. Maybe. No. Oh no, I don't trust myself. Aha. So let's see here. Error. Oh, did I don't think I got rid of error in the last message. And then we don't need that anymore. We're good. Being busy at work means work doesn't feel as long. True. Very true. But that, and I'm also in that, again, I'm one of those very, very fortunate few that, that gets to say that my career is also my hobby. I really enjoy what I do. So being busy just means that there's more opportunity for me to do what I enjoy doing. So it's a fun time. Let's see here. Handler template, wraps, text template for convenience. Although I am questioning the convenience part. Give yourself a break from drawing as you've been going ham on it recently. Yeah. You hit that roll where you're just like, you just keep going, and then you stop and you go, holy shit, I'm tired. creates a new instance. Intent is to call parse soon after. Just to call that out. And then parse. I just recognized something, which I am not fond of. Oh boy. Huh. And for a solid 6 hours yesterday, and when I stopped, I looked back and was like, what? What have I done? I hear you. I hear you. You ever hit that that moment where like you're sitting at your desk and you're doing whatever it is that you're doing? Like for me, it's sitting at the desk typing away, and then you go to get up, and your back just goes, wait. You've been sitting down for the last N number of hours. Why do you want to get up now? It's like, because I want to get up. I've been sitting down for 12 hours. I need to get up. Nah, dog. Nah, you need to sit back down. Like, why? The whole point of getting up is because I've been sitting down for too long. Oh, word. I keep thinking like, oh, this is just because I'm old. No, it's because you're not supposed to sit down in the same position for 12 hours, especially considering like I'm usually pretty good about keeping my back pushed back a little bit, but especially when I start getting really into what I'm doing, I start to lean forward a little bit and then I'll slowly lean back. But oof, 12 hours of that, and by the end of it, my back's like, screw this. So what did I notice? Number one, it's one of the downsides of being a Vim user. Every once in a while, I accidentally type the wrong thing. I don't want to. Let's see here. So parse creates. No, parse. Interpolates the given event onto the stored template. Okay, so that's a little bit nicer, except this. Oh, I hear you, Przemko. I was a wrestler for a little while, and oof, the things that I can't do because my back just refuses to handle it is just saddening. Better are walking and lying down. Yep. I actually have I can't really show it, but I have a little like footstool thing underneath my desk. I don't actually put my feet on it most of the time because I mean my chair is actually low enough to the ground that I can sit my feet flat on the ground with my legs being there we go, 90 degrees, and it's actually comfortable for me. The step stool is there so that I can prop my legs up and so that my legs are more or less sitting straight, so that I kind of stretch out that tendon right below the kneecap, just to try and counterbalance a little bit of the fact that like my legs sit like this the whole time, so that tendon starts to just contract. It's a terrible fucking feeling. Okay, so this is fine. I was originally thinking that my original thought for creating the handler template was pointless, but in reality, it actually makes it still makes sense to do. Also, thank you for the hydrate, Kami. Kami? Please excuse. Also, I never take a moment to appreciate the coloring. Yeah, interesting. Cammy? Cat. Oh, my back. Speaking of my back, we need tools to develop while lying in bed. I mean, okay, hold on. We gonna pause the stream for just a moment. Have you seen this monstrosity? All right, where are you? Well, so there's that, but that's not really what I was looking at. Ah, there it is. Have you seen this monstrosity? Y'all, my southerner is gonna come out for just a second. This is definitely one of those wow moments. Like, right? Now, there are a couple of things that scare me about this. Number one, it's on wheels. I don't trust this type of a rig on wheels. Maybe that's just me being old, but I don't know. There's just something about that I don't trust being on wheels. But number two, how does a mouse work? That I feel like is the one thing that, like, we need what is it, Minority Report? Is that the one? I think it's Minority Report. Yeah. Yeah. I think we need this in order for this to truly make sense. Because at least you can fix the at least you can you can take a keyboard. Like, we can fix this to that little thing there. This I think makes sense. This? I don't know. I would love to. I would love for it to. Maybe there's like some type of like a magnetic mouse that that's magnetically attached to it. I don't know. But I don't know about y'all. I would much rather have this. Like, just typing away. Oh wait, I need to do a thing. Anyway. But yeah, every time I see why can't we develop lying down? We pretty much can, but this shit's expensive if I remember correctly. Also, I do want one of these at some point. But I can't justify $5,000 for what is effectively a recliner with a hood. Zero-G reclining workstation, but can you buy it? This was uploaded in 2016. A little over $9,000. There's also this thing. Like, anybody that's familiar with Linus. Anybody that's familiar with Linus, which I'm probably going to get struck for, but like, Linus Tech Tips, fantastic. And he's gone over, I think, a number of these types of setups. They're all so bloody wild. Also, that's suspect. But yeah, they exist. There are solutions that exist. They're just interesting. Completely off topic from what we were talking about, but I mean, come on. Only 2 monitors, unusable. So you're saying that you would be disappointed in me, really, Frank, considering that I only have the one? Let's see here. All right, we were doing things, I think. Rip grab, make sure logs are all gone. Ooh, that's everything. Okay, sweet. So the last thing that I wanted to do was the same thing for here. For, oops, doop, doop. My brain just stopped. Format, args, Fatal F. And now we've broken many things, so yes, yep. And now I think we just swap things around. Oh, is it actually going to be this easy? Is it actually going to be this easy? It is. Yeah, okay, that's good. Doop, and doop, 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 doop. So how y'all doing? As I sit here and slowly copy, place, replace. Ooh, this is one of the not so fun ones. Boop. Repurpose my TV since I'm not watching TV anyway as my second monitor. So technically, you say that you are running on my TV right now. I'm on TV. Hey, mom, I'm on TV. I made it. Oh man, the day that Amedge ends up on TV is a very bad day indeed. Amedge does not want fame. In fact, Amedge just wants to be... Amedge just wants to live a quiet life, working hard and giving back to those that have given so much to me. All my good friends. I'm on a 40-inch TV? Holy shit. There's a joke there. Did that actually? Hang on a second. I was gonna say, irc.go 138. irc.go 138. Yeah, that ain't right. Oh. Okay. That's okay. Oh, I just hadn't saved it. Oops. Oh, okay, fine. Holy shit, you're getting 40 inches of Medge? Wow. Oh, now what is this? Ooh, okay, hold on. I'm starting to recognize a, Oh, no, it's fixed. Okay, we're good. Triple! Oh, shit. Aw. Yo, you guys put me on the TV? Why, thank you. Why you would want this mug to be on your TV, who the hell knows, but you know what? That's the power of you. You can do whatever you want. I am not reading that out. What am I missing? Oh. Did I miss something here? No? Look at all those changes. Woof. Blah, 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 blah. I just want to make sure these are all log changes. Witcher Viking tech man. I don't know why I like that so much. Witcher Viking tech man. I have ascended to a level that I never thought possible. Love you. I'm probably turning red. Yeah, I'm definitely turning red. Woo! As the messages scroll by. Hello, Toby. Would you like to come up, say hello to everybody? Come on up. Yeah, there's a boy. All right. A brief pause for cat cam. Cat. Hey, buddy. Can you sit down? Yeah, good boy. Good boy. You're such a good boy, you know that? Don't listen to what anybody says about you. Git commit, swap all logs over to logger package. Yoink! Yes, Toby is a good boy. And he's so chill, too. Yeah. He's a chill little boy. He's just slowly falling to the side. You're such a cute little boy, you know that? I think you know that. Also, he's well behaved when he's on camera. Yeah, right. But as soon as he's off camera, demon. Well, not demon. That would be unfair. He's an old man. He's gonna be 12 this year. A 12-year-old kitty. And he's about to have a procedure where he's gonna become a radioactive kitty, so woohoo! But he just doesn't take any shit from any of his younger siblings. Isn't that right? Tap, 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 tap. Yeah, he's getting, he has hyperthyroidism. Just got the diagnosis a couple weeks ago, maybe. So he's getting an injection of radioactive iodine. Now, they told me that for a cat and for the other cats, it's not really a concern. The iodine should actually do pretty good for them. The problem is apparently me. Like for, what is it, a week and a half, 2 weeks after his procedure? They have his procedure, or they do his procedure, and then they keep him for a couple of days just to make sure the levels go down properly. And then they send him home. I can have him stay there for 2 weeks, but I do not want to be away from my boy for 2 weeks. So I said, no, you can absolutely take him home, but keep in mind, when you're doing things like cleaning out the litter box and such, you need to wear a mask and gloves. I'm like, excuse me? He goes, well, there's still some radioactive material that may be present in his waste. And I quote, this is not an issue for the cats because cats usually don't live long enough for it to actually be a problem for them. It's more a problem for me. So I guess if they really wanted Medj to grow an arm out of the side of my head, I could ignore that voice. The things I will do for my cats and the amount of money that I will spend for my cats is boundless. Alrighty, so we have done things Despite the tangents and such, we have done things. We have centralized logging, introduced Logrus. We migrated away from IOUtil. We created a persistent key value store for bot features. I think we're actually to the point where we can start working on features. Holy shit. Now, there is a very important thing to mention. I haven't been keeping up with the test suite. Like, if I do test... Oh, we got a problem. Okay. So this is why you run make test. 69% of coverage. Nice. Oh, wait, we haven't... nope, it didn't run the full thing. Persistable 150. 150. Ah, yeah. We screwed that up. There we go. I need to get commit amend. Shit. This is why you run tests before you do push. Just saying. Cat is actually the superhero saving Gotham when you sleep. The Catman. Catman. Toby. He is so unimpressed. Get a cache persistable. Get commit. Or actually, get commit. Double dash amend. Get push dash F origin main. Never do this. Never do that. Never force push to the main branch. Never do that. Unless it's your own repository and yada yada yada. If you're working in a team, setting, never do that. It's bad. Work on a feature branch and do pull requests. Alrighty. Let's see here. Okay, that was updated. Good. So now we're just gonna do a quick audit. Always dash F. Never. Set up GitHub Actions to run the test for you. It's free. It works great. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we do. Ta-da! And this actually runs on it runs on pull requests, but I'm also gonna run it on probably gonna run it on pushes to the main branch. Yeah, I feel like I would want to do branches main. I feel like I would definitely want to do that as well. Oh, and somebody did ask this of me at some point. Why do I not? There we go. Use something like CodeCov to do like to capture and to report on code coverage. And the short answer is because I don't care. I think I've gone on this rant before, but I use code coverage as an indicator of tests that I might be missing, but I don't use it as I must have X% code coverage all the time. Because ironically, I've seen projects and I've worked in projects where we had 70-something% code coverage. We covered every feature that we needed to have covered. We also didn't do a lot of mocks, so yeah. Git can't do that, Prajemko. This is GitHub Actions. So GitHub has basically their own option for CI, for continuous integration. It's called Actions. And in our case, we run tests. So every time we create a pull request, and which is what this does, and soon with that, on all pushes to the main branch, we'll also be running those tests. But as you can see, it'll run those tests. It'll tell me, hey, did it succeed? Did it fail? Yada, yada, yada. And it at least gives us a check. And then on pull requests, you can actually see that. You can they show up as checks, and a lot of repositories that I work in, we actually disable merging pull requests until those checks pass. It's kind of a, if you enforce linting and you enforce testing, which we don't really enforce linting in Go because, well, the Go compiler forces the lint for you, or the formatting. You can enforce those on a pull request, and you can prevent that from allowing people to merge pull requests if those things fail. So do you upload the test to the repo beforehand and tell GitHub about it? GitHub knows about it. So actually, let me show this. So when so GitHub knows when you make pushes, because like when I'm doing git push origin main, it's pushing up to a GitHub repository. So GitHub, if there's an action in the project, triggers its own internal push event. And so it goes in, it looks in your repository and says, okay, do you have any workflows registered for actions? Yes, you do. Okay, parse them. Okay, on a pull request. Okay, do you have a pull request? Yes. Run the following things. And one of the things that it does, so it basically creates a Docker environment. I think it's a Docker container, or it's a container of some kind. So it will check out the code, set up Go, and then once the code is checked out, I can run any files, any commands that I want that works within that context. So in my case for Go, it's just go test -v, and then cover profile spits out a coverage file. And that is actually what the make command is doing when I do make test. So it creates this this out.prof file, and that's the profiling, the coverage profile, and that's what that is. And as you can see here, total coverage for code coverage is a current 58.3%. I think most places we call that a failure. Even somebody like me, who is not particularly picky about the number on code coverage, can also recognize that 58.3% is kind of shite. But if we look at this, so let's see what that means. So the bot is 66% covered. So we can probably take a look at that, actually. And in fact, Go actually gives us this option. Go coverage HTML. There it is. Doop. So that's what we need. How do you write unit tests in Go? Yeah, it's kind of different. It's interesting. I can show that here in just a second. Let me actually make. Actually, didn't the make file have? Oop. Nah. Meh. Yeah. There we go. I don't. Okay. Well, I'm gonna make this. Cov HTML. Cov HTML. Go test. Let me. Oh wait. Oh. Pfft. Make coverage. Ta-da! Go coverage. Is there a way for me to oof. Anyway, it spits out a HTML page that will show me what lines are not covered, that are not covered by tests. So there's kind of a moment where I can go, okay, well, let's see here. Register client. So I'm not testing register client, or at least register client is not being called in a test. I probably wouldn't make a test for register client specifically, but I would probably go and make sure that I have, say, an integration test that includes a call to register client. So that's kind of the difference for me. We are also technically missing a part about empty messages. We could unit test that. That one I'm actually going back and forth on, so I actually don't want to cover that. Channel point handler just doesn't get tested at all. That's actually on me. I can do that. Cthulhu is not tested. Oh, I fucking love that. Within a sea of green, there is Cthulhu. There is ASCII Cthulhu. There you go, Veal. And you know what? There's just something about that that just makes me never want to test it. Just so that stays. Nobody tests Cthulhu. I don't know why that amuses me so much. Oh my god. Anyway. All right, unit tests, yes. Couple of things. Number one is that there is a convention in Go where let's do let's get out of that. Boop. Yes, Fiol is our resident QA. So number one, convention in Go is actually to co-locate the implementation and the test file. Some people don't like this because, for example, if you have, like, in my case, a bot package, this bot package does get pretty big. I've yet to run into a project where personally I find it gets too big, but that's just me. And then the tests themselves. So Go has a built-in testing tool or a built-in testing library. It's built into the language called testing.t. Or testing is the package, and then T is the thing that you use. And it looks a little something like this. You basically run through the test as if you're just executing the code. And if something goes wrong, you call t.fail or t.failf. So like construct bot.new, construct a chat client, which is kind of like a mock client, create a template for the bot, and then start it. And now I'm going to simulate sending a bit event. So say Really Frank cheered 100 bits. We're going to send that to the bot. Now, if I don't receive the message, thanks for the 100 bits, Really Frank, then fail the test and say, got invalid bits response. It's kind of sort of... It's similar in the sense that you're setting up the code and then you're calling the code that you want executed, and then you're doing assertions. So assert, or if you're familiar with the assert.j library, if you're not, very much recommend it. Spring Boot actually includes this as part of their testing starter, if I remember correctly. But assert.j, fluid assertions for Java. And of course, they don't show an example. Blah. But anyway, assert.j. Assert that blank does thing. It's fantastic. In Go, it's just do a thing. If it didn't happen, t.fatalf. And yeah. And then this is built in. There's also benchmarking, which I have not done benchmarking on this yet, but I really want to do a benchmark for the bot. I really want to see how the bot handles those types of things. But it has testing, it has benchmarking, all of that's built in, and then of course it has its own coverage tool, which is what drives this. And yeah, it's all integrated together. I love the fact that it's all integrated together. Just bloody saying. Which, by the way, this is one example of why I don't believe in 100% code coverage. Because if I wanted 100% code coverage, that would mean that I would have to code coverage, or to cover func main in my test. Nah, I ain't about that. Now I am surprised. I am surprised that IRC has so little. Ooh. So apparently that's because we aren't properly testing IRC for bid events. We're also not properly testing IRC for some of the other events, but we're gonna write integration tests for a lot of those. That's very interesting. Handler template is also not fully tested, which is interesting. Greet handler, I'm not surprised. Channel point handler. Okay, so we're not too far off. The alert handler is going to be interesting, but we're not too far off in terms of things that would raise coverage, but yeah, that's interesting. I have to think about that. Reminds me of assert.h. Yep. I want to say assert.h was an inspiration for one of these. Anyway. So yeah, that's technically just testing in Go. How you and I say that in that way because one of the things that I started to do was I started to create end-to-end tests. But the end-to-end tests are not really end-to-end truly. They're actually these are more integration, like end-to-end integration tests that don't rely on the network. And that to me is kind of the big thing, is that none of these tests rely on network resources. Because I hate tests that rely on network resources, unless they're true end-to-end functional tests. Warning, warning, opinionated. So that's what I started to do, I think, with this. We create a test WebSocket, we create the IRC client, we start it, we start the chat bot. And then we initialize the raids bot. And then we start firing off events to it. Something that we could do is we could just initialize this as more than just a test raids. We could just make this a test messages. We could start adding a bunch of messages to it. Did coverage actually show end-to-end EDE? Yeah. God, that still needs to be cleaned up. Okay, that really needs to be cleaned up. Woof. Did we? Oh, so we're not dash V'ing it. Let me check the make file real quick. By the way, that's what empty bytes look like. I kind of want this to be a dash V. I want these to be verbose so that I can see some of these things. It's very weird to me how the test is marked as a test by passing it as a function argument instead of just giving it a test param. Right? In the world where annotations don't exist. Now this, I think, was the test E to E. Test start. Yeah, I think it's in there. Let me do this. Grep E2E? No. Yep, okay, they're there. It is there. Let's see here. This was the addition of branches to main. So we will git add all, git commit, run test on push to main branch as well. You know, sometimes I hate that that this shell will auto quote. Sometimes. But other times it's useful. All right, let's double check the action. The action is running now. So it's running on a push to main, which is fantastic. And so now it's doing its thing. And off it goes. I'm kind of curious how long it takes to do this. Let me see. There are things happening in the Discord, and it's weird. Yeah, there we go. So this is another version of the coverage report. So it'll tell you on a file method perspective what the coverage of those methods are, which is quite handy, all things considered. But I kind of like this view a lot more. Boink. I like this view a lot more, partially because it's visual, but also because it gives me the opportunity to go, well, yes, but I wouldn't actually want to test that, for example. I could go into event and I could say, okay, oh, so I don't have a test for point redemptions anywhere, so that tells me that what type of test I should probably focus on. But yeah, that is an opinionated moment with Medj. Medj is very opinionated about code coverage. I'm very opinionated that tests need to be written. Tests are a fantastic thing, and they should be written. I just think that they should be written well. And I do not believe that you have to have 100% code coverage to have a suite of tests that does that job well. 75 to 85% is where I like to be, as long as there's also an end-to-end suite that's available. But anyway, I think I am going to have to call it here. That is 9:20 now, so make sure that's all pushed up. So that was still working. It is still working. Yeah, there's ping pong. That's a test that we could run. We definitely should add some tests to ensure that ping pong still works for IRC and PubSub. So let's actually do that. Let's add a card for that. Add ping pong tests for IRC and PubSub. I'll probably break that card up a little bit later. Whoops. One. Add a label. MVP3. Boop. Move that way up at the top. But yeah, that is gonna do it for today. Pop that over there. Thank you for the hydrate, Cammy. Bless ye. So yeah, that was a very productive day, even though we didn't get too far. Oh.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Yeah, no, there still no dumb questions. Sorry, Ken. Also, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. I'm sorry you caught us right at the end, but hello. How you doing? Absolutely, Prajemko. Anytime. Thank you so much for stopping by. And to everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. We had, it was a lot of code cleanup and a lot of refactoring, but and if you don't do that during a project, you're just gonna collect a bunch of shite code, and that's never fun to work with. So I think what I would like to do is I will try to remember to poll out in Discord which features we would want to work on next, because we've got a list of them in the Trello, and they're kind of sort of ordered, but not really. So I may pull that out for people to see what makes the most sense. And like, for example, the simple on-stream alert box is definitely one that is very interesting to me, but that one's going to be quite hard, which is half the fun. But I may pull out in Discord a little bit later to see which ones you guys would be interested in seeing. But thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for oh, but there's no music. Ooh. Really? Let me turn the music up a little bit. Can you hear it now? It might be too loud, or it might not be coming through at all. That'll be very interesting if it's not. Can anybody hear music at the moment? Should have been Witcher music? Well, copyrights. Let me try this one. This one's usually a little bit louder. Okay, so it is coming through. Just Medj TED Talk. Huh. Interesting. So maybe I turned the music down too low. How is this music right now in comparison to my voice? Because this is one of the louder songs, I think. Gonna turn it down to about 39. Very faint. Interesting. Huh. That's very interesting. So apparently the music's been playing. It's just so low that nobody heard it. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this recording. Now I'm very curious. Huh. Well, thank you for pointing that out, Cammy. I appreciate it. I will have to go back and take a look. See. Huh. Okay, I will give it a look. And if you have any suggestions, Cammy, on if you are familiar with OBS and audio setup for OBS, I would be very curious to hear them. Because, oh my god, do I stare at these and kind of go, ooh, pretty bars. But until next time, though, thank you all so much for stopping by. I appreciate you all being here. And let's see here. We will be back, should be back on Wednesday morning for Cammy Sound Services is always here for you. Thank you, Cammy. It'd be a very dull world without you here. So, we should be back Wednesday morning for the next for the midweek stream. But until that time, thank you all so much. Stay curious, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.